Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.
Welcome to the Monday After. I'm Ed Mackay and I am on location in the London Stadium today, having just witnessed Aston Villa take another 3 points, this time from West Ham. We are going to come to that game, but we're going to cover all four West Midlands teams because we have seen them all play this weekend and they have all had pretty interesting results, shall we say. Let's go in chronological order. So we'll start with Friday evening. West Brom took on Sheffield United, an informed Sheffield United. And I think many of us thought that, West Brom might be on shaky ground, taking on the Blades. But it was West Brom 2, Sheffield United 0. And I'll come to Rob first because I believe you were there commentating on the game, Rob.
Yes, we was there. Me and Jonathan attended the Hawthorns. And I think most of us, we all thought Sheffield United would have come away with a win. I think, Jonathan, you said, was it a draw? Was the best chance they could get?
I said I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. I'm so glad we won.
Yeah, and I mean, that's... I'm not going to say the scoreline flattered West Brom, but that first half we were thinking it's only a matter of time before Sheffield United get their goal. And then they went in. Hegebo had a chance to score on the half, on half time. It was a really good chance. We just blazed it over the bar. And then West Ham, there you go. West Brom just came firing out from the half-time break, didn't they? And just, they were blitzing Sheffield United. They could have got 4 in around 20 minutes.
Well, we'll go to you then, Jonathan, as a resident West Brom fan. How did you see it unfolding? Because obviously, you had your trepidations, but it is a great win in the end.
Yeah, it was a great win. And, at the start of the game, I was actually dreading it, given that we'd lost 2 on the road to QPR and Southampton. And, the toxicity amongst the fans before the game was all to see. Ryan Mason was under quite a bit of pressure to get results. Performances were there, but just not taking chances and getting counted on the break seemed to be the thing for West Brom, and individual errors as well from those 2 away games. So when we got into at home to Sheffield United, it was a case of, Sheffield United under Chris Wilder has been on a bit of a resurgence, climbing up the table after a poor start to the season. And we just thought if we could get a draw out of this, then it wouldn't be so bad. And the first half, yeah, I agree with Rob. Sheffield United had the better of the ball, and Hegebo's shot just before half time, that pretty much summed up the entire half for West Bromwich Albion. And at half time, I think I actually said, I'm dreading the second half because I don't know what Sheffield United will bring now. Well, it turned out they never even showed up for the first half an hour in that second half, because West Bromwich Albion, and I said this on commentary for BHBN on Friday, that they seemed a little shell-shocked, and West Bromwich Albion came out, got the goals from Hegebo, 7 goals in 7, 8 for the season. So he's in a really big purple patch right now, which we needed at least one of our strikers to be in some sort of form. And Hegebo seems to be that man at the moment. And then the goal scorer became the assister, setting up Karlan Grant. We thought that the opportunity was missed when he kicked the ball forward on the wrong side of Grant, but Grant did well to get past McGuinness, the defender, and hit it off the underside of the crossbar. And after that, last 15 minutes, Sheffield United went for the kitchen sink tactic. And fortunately, our defending was just as good as our attacking on that day.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is interesting because I spoke to a West Brom fan before the game, and he was saying that he almost felt as though he didn't want West Brom to get a result because he wanted Ryan Mason to go. And that's the kind of pressure he was put under. I mean, I'll come to you, Connor. I mean, we've spoken a lot about, managers being under pressure over the last season or two, but how do you see Ryan Mason's position? I mean, does that win get him a bit of a reprieve?
Certainly does. I mean, we've seen West Brom just go on a little bit of an upward trajectory over the past few weeks. Sure, there's been blips along the way, as Jonathan would know, being a close follower of the football club, being a fan. But there has been improvements over the past month or so. And certainly at the beginning of the year, we all would have looked at this Sheffield United fixture and thought, this is a game that's going to be contested for playoff positions come what may. In fact, it's the polar opposite, and it's being contested for potential relegation battles. But Jonathan will be thankful that West Brom don't seem to be on that course. But at the same time, with him, he knows as a passionate West Brom fan, and with the years that West Brom have also been in the Championship, that this is a time of the season where teams start to separate themselves, where the pack starts to separate itself from playoff contenders to title contenders, all the way down to potential relegation battle teams. And a win like this past weekend against Sheffield United is putting West Brom on the right trajectory. So we'll see what Ryan Mason does to react to this. We've got a few more fixtures now between now and the end of the year to continue building up those points. But West Brom, for now at least, look like they're on the right track. But whether or not they'll get enough points to keep on climbing the Championship table and into those playoff positions, is still one that we're going to have to wait and see, really, because of how highly contested the Championship is every single season.
Well, you're absolutely right, because it is a quite a truncated league, and obviously West Brom have moved into 15th, but Sheffield United in 18th. But then we're gonna move on to Birmingham, and they've had some really good results, and they're only in 12th. So it is a strange league. I mean, one of the things that I think most of the fans are frustrated about, and I'll come to our newcomer Enton on this one, is that West Brom it feels like they don't get the investment they need every year to actually make that push into the playoffs. I mean, how do you see West Brom's season unfolding from here? Enton, what's your views?
Again, it's the quality of the squad, isn't it? Because no matter what league you're in, you're going to get injuries, and when you start falling to defeat after defeat, it then plays in the mindset of players. Like, is the manager really putting the point across that he wants us to play? And sometimes that's questionable. You think, okay, well, we're trying to play this way, it's not working. But then for some reason, it's that one game then can kick on. You can just get that result. You can just get that little bit more confident and think, okay, right, and it was a great result because, like you said, Sheffield United were in terrific form. So that will give the squad a boost as well as the manager now. So the players will be picking their heads up now. And I think they'll be looking forward to training. They'll be looking forward to getting the next game under their belts. So again, it's what they do about it now. It's to keep the momentum going, isn't it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, momentum's a big part, isn't it? Because I think one of the questions is, with a young manager, a young coach finding his way, are the team listening to him? I mean, Jonathan, you're the fan. I mean, how do you feel about that? Is he getting his message across?
Well, he seems to be getting it across at home. It's the next task now for Ryan Mason and West Bromwich Albion is the away form. Obviously, with those 2 defeats last week, that's 7 in a row. And our next game is next weekend away to Hull, who's right in the playoff picture at the moment. So that's our final away game of the year, of the calendar year. And then we've got 2 games at home, Boxing Day against Bristol City, and then the return fixture to QPR at the Hawthorns. So the home form is, and it's always been like this with West Bromwich Albion, the home form has always been better than the away form, but we just need to stop the run of defeats that we've had away from home, and it all starts next Saturday against Hull.
Absolutely. Well, it was a positive start to football for the West Midlands on Friday night with that win. West Brom 2, Sheffield United 0. And we're going to go to a quick break. After this, we'll come back and we will cover off Saturday's fare.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes, and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
Welcome back to the Monday After. I'm Ed Mackay. I'm joined by a panel of very talented BHBN broadcasters here to cover the West Midlands football. And we've dealt with West Brom's game. We're going to move on now because Birmingham City played at home, and we covered it for the radio station, and they got a 1-1 draw with Charlton, which moved them up into 12th. And I believe Connor was there doing the live commentary, so we'll go straight to Connor. What did you see as like the fundamental sort of apex of the game? I mean, Birmingham have done really well at St Andrews, but they only got a draw this week. Were they sort of lackadaisical, or was it just a bit of a battle?
Well, when me and Nathan were commentating on the game for BHBN Sports Show, we felt as though it was a very tightly contested, even fair share of the points game come the end of it, because Birmingham were completely dominant in the first half, but then Charlton came back and came out the blocks really strong to begin the second, and were rewarded with that with the equaliser. But you know, Birmingham, they played decent football in my opinion throughout the entirety of the game. Clara had an absolutely fantastic header inside the penalty area from a Tommy Doyle free kick just before the half-hour mark, but then Tyrese Campbell came off the bench for Charlton and got the equaliser just before 20 minutes to go. And ultimately, after that point, it was just back and forth between the two teams with opportunities, and ultimately it just ended with a fair share of the points. And that's kind of the conclusion that me and Nathan came to the game. But Kim, who was in the studio, was looking at a lot of reaction online, and a lot of reaction as it was not so great in terms of how they believe Birmingham played. And I think it's just, I was speaking to a couple of people in the press box afterwards, and I think it's just a case of expectation now for Blues and this team, what the standards are being set and the aspirations, and how the team on the pitch is not sometimes meeting those criteria and requirements. And that's why a lot of fans are getting a bit agitated online about it. But we know as football fans, there's still a long way to go in the season. We're only in mid-December, and sure, the fixtures are going to start coming thick and fast, especially in the Championship with the amount of games that they have to play. But there's still plenty of time. This team is only 5 points adrift of the playoff position, similar to West Brom, but they're well away from any sort of relegation danger. So there's not going to be any sort of worry of a drop back down to League One, I don't think. And the quality on the pitch is certainly good enough to keep on progressing in the Championship. It's just whether or not they can turn things around in terms of their form, because as we know, the home form had been great. This was the first time that they had dropped points at home since mid-October. The home form has been great. The away form, on the flip side, not so much. We saw that in the game against QPR during the week, where they struggled to get to win there, and then other times throughout the season as well, it's been quite a struggle for them away from home. So if they are going to sneak into the playoff picture, the conversations that I had with people in the press box, it is down to really their home form. I think if they're able to continue progressing and make sure that they are getting the wins over the line at home, and then seeing what they can do away from home, see if they can convert some of those draws into wins, see if they can convert some of those losses into draws, and gradually they'll climb up the table. The quality's there, the investment that's been happening. It's just getting the results on the field of play, I think, Ed.
Yeah, I think, again, I see it that way because, I mean, Jonathan, you and I have spoke to Kim recently, actually, about that level of expectation, haven't we? Certainly with home. And she was saying, we can win at home, but we can't win away. And I wonder if, Birmingham fans got into the habit of winning when they're at St Andrews. And so, I mean, how do you think they manage that expectation? Because it is something you have to do when you're a promoted team. And how do you see that going? Is that something they need to deal with the fans' expectations at home?
I believe so, yeah. And basically, you say Birmingham City are a promoted team. Yes, in the context of this season, they are. But really, the quality that they have and the kind of reputation that Birmingham City has, they really shouldn't have been in League One anyway. It was just they was going on a very poor run the previous season in the Championship, and that ultimately cost them. They came back up at the first time of asking, breaking records and everything, with points scored and, getting the League One title. So promoted team, yes, but not in terms of like reputation and stuff like that. So you would expect a team like Birmingham to not worry about relegation, and their home form has been a part of why that hasn't been the case this season. It's just their away form, and obviously, as you said, we've spoken to Kim on multiple occasions about Blues. I was in the studio as well with Kim during Connor and Nathan's commentary, and I just felt that part of me was thinking Charlton might actually nick this and get a last-minute goal. It's down to Blues to try and defend that and maybe try and nick a goal itself. From the commentary that I was hearing from the studio, it felt like it could go either way. I don't know how it felt, if it felt like that at St Andrews, but it was just one of those games where a slip here or a foul there, and someone could have been through on goal and got the points. But I think 1-1 was the fair result.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what Connor was saying. Is he felt like a share of the spoils was fair in the end. Enton, I don't know how much Championship football you watch. I know you support a Premier League team like I do, and so sometimes it's hard to gauge just how competitive the Championship is. I mean, how do you see it going? Because, like Connor said, we're only in December, and the pack is yet to shuffle. I would say with that results. I mean, how well do you think Birmingham can do in the end this season?
Well, they've got a decent enough squad, so and the results they're having at home is phenomenal. Again, it's when you go away, there's obviously a mental block somewhere, isn't there? I don't know what that could be, but their home form is fantastic. And again, Birmingham are a big club, so they've just had a few seasons where things have not gone right financially, players leaving at the time. So their home form, they've nailed their home form. What they have to try to do now is come together, especially in away days, is to get that sneaky 1-0, that 2-1 victories, just to get the win away and get that off their backs. And I think Connor and the guys have just gave a perfect analysis of where Birmingham are. So there's not much more I can say to that, because that was perfect.
Yeah, well, that is true. I mean, the fact of the matter is, when you first come up, you are building, aren't you? And we were speaking recently about the ambition of the club. They've unveiled the fact they're going to have a new stadium. There does, I suppose, look like there needs to be some investment in the squad. Whether that comes in January or not, I don't know. I mean, Rob, what do you think? Do Birmingham need to add to their squad in January, or have they got the building blocks there to have a solid season as it is?
Well, I think equal parts, either investment or trying to keep those players fit. I think there's no point going out and recruiting any more players if they can keep the ones that they've got them this far, if they keep them fit, and obviously the new additions as well. Yeah, I mean they've definitely got the tools. We've seen they've had this great home form as well. I mean that's the very least you can have in the Championship. If you can nail your home form down and make that a really intimidating place to come, pretty much set from there. So I mean they've got owners that like to spend as well, and they want to be seen as this club with ambition. So I don't know whether they need to spend in any more areas, or whether they've just got to keep the players they've got fit.
Okay, well that's a fair enough, and I think it's a fair assessment of Birmingham's weekend. Really, they had a hard-fought 1-1 draw. They're 12th. They're sort of midway in the table, and it seems like they're doing everything right. Whether the fans need to manage their expectations or not, that might be a case that they look at later in the season. So that was our live commentary brought to us on air on BHBN by Connor and Nathan, and then later in the evening we had what was probably the the most odds-on game of the season, you would say, because we had first against worst in the Premier League with Arsenal taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League, and Wolves, none of the predictions were pretty, you would say. However, Wolves battled Arsenal in their own backyard. Unfortunately, it was Arsenal 2, Wolves 1. I'll hold my hands up. I thought they were going to get absolutely annihilated, and I said that to the team. I said, I can see it being a cricket score. But actually, it ended up being maybe a bit easier for Rob Edwards because they knew what the task was. Just try not to concede. So they sat in, they had a game plan, and it nearly worked. I'll come to you first this time, Enton. I don't know how much of that game you saw, but I mean, Arsenal 2, Wolves 1. I mean, it was a dramatic one. What did you make of the scoreline and the nature of the victory for Arsenal?
Oh, it was great because I did watch it. So it was one of them games where Arsenal, you want to see if they can stay top and take the victory. But you've got to give the shout out to the Wolves players. They and Rob Edwards. It was just like they had Arsenal in the pocket for about an hour, about 65 minutes. They just didn't. Obviously, they scored the goal, but they didn't look like there was a unit. They were strong. The defense was strong. Their team, it looked like a strong unit, and it's heartbreak for them because, like, when you put that much about effort in, and you know what people are going to, the narrative and what people are saying, it's going to be a cricket score. You just think that I really felt for them because that could have been detriment to Arsenal's Premier League wanting to win the league and the derailment of it, but they end up winning the game. But you've got to give a big shout out for the Wolves. That was so unfortunate for them. So I thought they played really well and got nothing for it. So it's heartbreaking for them.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to Connor next because he made a great point as we were sort of doing our WhatsApp group commentary about the nature of the goals because they were unlucky. I'll let you do your line, Connor. I'll go to Connor.
Yeah, I don't really want to make too much fun of the occasion because it is just going from bad to worse and to even worse for Wolves. But yeah, the point I made is not many teams can say they can go to the Emirates and score 3 goals. But then again, if 2 of those goals are own goals, it's not really much help at all. But yeah, Wolves, they've been playing decent football under Rob Edwards since he arrived, and thankfully now they've got that situation off their back where they hadn't scored since Rob Edwards arrived, and they've managed to achieve that. So it's a good positive step in the right direction. But throughout most of that game, especially in the second half, they fought valiantly. Wolves did, and they were really unlucky not to come away from that game with at least a point, potentially even more if they were able just to be a bit more lucky in front of goal. But this Wolves team is taking their steps in the right direction. And we spoke about, how in the Championship there's still a long time to go in terms of fixtures for Birmingham, for West Brom to turn things around and get themselves back into the playoff picture. And you could say the same for Wolves as well in the relegation zone, despite the fact that, they are looking like, I think after today's games as well, they could be beyond 12 points adrift of safety. But ultimately, time is running out, considering the situation the Wolves are in right now. You just simply can't go into the new year with almost half the games played in the season only on 2 points and say this team is going to survive in the Premier League. We've historically seen that teams need about 30 to 40 points in order to stay in the league, and we're looking at this Wolves team, and time is running out, so they need to start picking up the points now. And it gets to the point where I heard this point on commentary yesterday as well, and I agree with it wholeheartedly, that no matter what stage at the game now for Wolves, they just have to go for it. They just can't worry about what the situation is, whether it's still a 0-0 and they're fighting against a Crystal Palace, or they're only 1-0 down against Arsenal away from home. They need to go for it. They need to just take every single opportunity that they can. Sure, don't waste opportunities. Don't be shooting from 35 yards every single time you get the ball, but be be in a situation where you can just go into every single game and know that there is nothing to lose whatsoever. Because that's the situation Wolves are in right now. Everyone is casting them down and out. There's a point in time where that is going to become a reality, but that point in time isn't now. So they've got a chance to prove everyone wrong until potentially that point arrives.
Yeah, I think realistically, we'd probably say they are really cut adrift now because they're so far behind and they're finding it so hard to accrue points. I know we've made this point a few times now that really what they want to target is not being the worst ever Premier League team. Jonathan, you and I have spoke about that previously. I mean, I don't see where their next points coming from, let alone them getting to 12 and overcoming Derby's points score. I mean, do you think they're going to get to that magic 12 points?
Well, at the moment, the short answer for that is no. Because to be honest, I'm going over their next few fixtures. They're at Molineux against Brentford, which they seem to always have trouble with as of late. And then on the 27th, just after Christmas, they've got the Anfield tie against your beloved Liverpool, Ed. Yep. And then Manchester United, which yes, they scored the first goal for the first time in a month, but they still lost that particular game 4-1. And Manchester United haven't been the best Manchester United that I know of, given their history. So yeah, I don't see where where Wolves will get the next point this month, let alone for the rest of the season. And I was watching Arsenal Wolves as well, and I just thought that Arsenal may have been a little bit too complacent. Top versus bottom. Everyone thought Arsenal was just going to roll over Wolverhampton Wanderers, and it just didn't happen. And yeah, it took 2 own goals really for Arsenal to beat Wolves. And if those own goals didn't happen, stating the obvious, Wolves would have got a smash and grab 1-0 win. And everyone would have been amazed at that. So, well, not the Arsenal fans, obviously, but yeah, it was one of those where I felt Arsenal were being a little bit too complacent yesterday.
Yeah, I wonder if that's true. I wonder if Arsenal thought all they had to do was turn up yesterday and they took their foot off the pedal a little bit. And then, as you say, that goal did wake them up a little bit. But Rob and I were talking earlier, and there does seem to be a little bit of a calamitous nature to the way Wolves concede goals as well. And I wonder if that is almost championship-esque in terms of their defending and their goalkeeping. I mean, we spoke about it, Rob. I mean, how do you think it? What do you think the problem was?
Well, I don't want to be the cliche, but it's when you're down at the bottom, you don't get the luck. And is there anything more unlucky than scoring 2 own goals within the last 15 minutes against the top team where you could have won? Really, it's just very desperate now. And a good point, like Connor said, you may as well just go, hammer and tongs at every game because chances are you'll lose it. So you may as well go down fighting and concede because you've thrown everyone forward rather than you've conceded because of a sloppy back pass, for instance, or an own goal. It as I said, it's sad when you watch this Wolves team now. They don't even look like they're trying to win the game, and that's the very basic every team will have in their head. Let's go and win this game. They don't even look like that now. They're just trying not to concede. And is that the right mindset to have? maybe that's why maybe that's why they're not winning, because they're not going into games trying to win. They've just limited themselves so much. Like, please, can we just not concede? And then when they do, they've just got nothing else. They think, right, well, we're 1-0 down, and that's it. There's no sort of effort. There's no motivation to go, right, let's try and, we'll be solid 5 minutes, try and get them on the count, for example. Let's, really, really go at them until half time. Something like that. There doesn't seem to be a lot.
Yeah, I tend to agree with all of the views there. I mean, they may as well go gung ho because they've really got nothing to lose anymore, and it looks like Rob Edwards has been brought in for a promotion campaign next year. Wolves there losing 2-1 to Arsenal. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we are going to deal with the Claret and Blue derby.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes, and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
Welcome back to the Monday After. I'm Ed Mackay, joined by Enton, Jonathan, Connor, and Rob. And we're going to get stuck right into our final West Midlands game of the weekend. And we've just witnessed it. We are live here at the London Stadium. So I'm going to go straight to Rob as the resident Villa fan and my co-commentator today. Talk us through what I felt was a very, very strange game.
Yes, we were saying it's been very bizarre. Not only in terms of the fans, home fans were leaving on 72 minutes whilst the game was at 2-2. Even the journalists here were leaving early, which I've never seen before. But the two teams were going backwards and forwards. It seemed, I mean, we were saying during the commentary, it seems like it was attack versus defend, like they were coaching. It was a training match. We said we wouldn't be surprised if one team puts on bibs at halftime and comes back out. It was Villa would come forward, West Ham would sit off, and they would win possession. Then they'd start to come forward, Villa would sit off and to let them attack. And okay, you've done your attack. Now we go. It was a very odd game. I'm not even going to say it was like a basketball game end to end, because it was very conservative. I suppose you could say it was like probably the most boring basketball match you could have ever had. And in the end, Villa really, I think, is one of the worst games they've had this season, even with that poor start at the start of the season. But Villa come away with a win. It was a wonder strike from Morgan Rogers, very, very similar to the goal he scored at Spurs. So obviously the lad from Halesowen likes scoring these types of goals in London.
Yeah, well, it was a still a great victory for Villa, because they've won 3-2. I mean, it actually takes them up to third in the league. Connor, do you think that Villa are in a title challenge?
Me and Rob were at Villa Park 2 years ago watching Villa take on Manchester City, and they beat them on that occasion there. It was on their season to qualify for the Champions League, and I said then potentially this team could be title contenders. And the team itself has not changed that much since that period, but ultimately this Villa team is on an upwards trajectory. Only lost once now in the last 11 games. After that disastrous start to the season, they've really turned things around. Unai Unai Emery's reinvigorated this team after a slow start, and now they're reaping the rewards for it. Whether or not they can carry it on throughout the rest of the season is kind of a big question mark, because for me, I think the thing that's missing is the consistency of goals to make sure that they can keep on progressing forward, keep on fighting for long periods. Because you look at Arsenal, you look at Manchester City, and they've got the goal scorers, haven't they, for days, whereas Villa is kind of struggling at the moment. I think the top goal scorer at the moment is on like 4 goals, and there's like 2 or 3 of them that are on 4 goals. So yeah, it's a struggle, but I think the potential is definitely there. But also at the same time, Unai Emery may have one eye on that Europa League competition as well.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think he's a wily manager, isn't he, Emery? I mean, Enton, how do you see Villa's season? Do you think that they're going to focus on that European campaign, or are they in the mix?
I suppose that would be the conversation at the beginning of the season, is to qualify for Europe. And obviously the Champions League would be the place to be. You've got to give them credit. They are just, when you all know football, so when teams start winning games, there's this air of confidence that just be like, no matter what player you are, whether you're a star player or a squad player, the squad just picks itself up with that confidence going round. And it just means that you can't wait to play the next game. So that's what you're looking for. So whether Villa, they're in it, they've put themselves in it. And as a manager, you can't ask for more than that. What they want them to do, what your manager wants you to do, is just stay consistent. Because obviously going 1-0 down within 30, however seconds it was, you're always fighting an uphill battle. So for Villa to be there, they're there on credit, so you have to give them that. I would say that more often they probably would be over the moon if they finish in the 4th position and got Champions League. So for fair play to them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think a target of top 4 at the start of the season would be the aim. And as you say, if you gift the likes of West Ham a goal after 30 seconds, you can expect a mountain to climb. I mean, I don't think Villa were very good today, I have to say. And when I saw them play last time in London, they weren't very good, but they got the win, Jonathan. And as Enton just said then, winning breeds winning. I mean, how do you see it? I mean, are they going to stick with it?
Well, I think one of our colleagues, Ben Ellis, would say it's too early to say that they're definitely in a title fight. And you were saying about Villa being away to London. Their next 2 away games are Chelsea and Arsenal later this month. So more trips to London for the Villa fans. The next game is at Villa Park against Manchester United as well. So a couple of tough fixtures, but, Aston Villa, they've come from behind today, and they've come from behind to get results before. So you wouldn't count them out just yet.
No, absolutely. I mean, they've put the points on the board. They're 3rd in the league, and they do have star quality. I mean, Morgan Rogers' goal was absolutely phenomenal, and as I say, it was almost a carbon copy of the goal he did score in Tottenham. I will say that the press officer for West Ham is actually in my eye line telling us we have to get out of the press box where we've recorded today's show from, but actually we're into the final minute of the show anyway. Just enough time to say thank you to everybody for joining us. Enton, Jonathan, Connor and Rob, you've been phenomenal, and everybody for listening us. Please do like and subscribe. This has been Ed Mackay for BHBN with The Monday After.
Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.